Welcome to my May wrap up. This month I read 3 books. I'm quite happy with that because I did have a lot on with all my DT3 show and all my graduation stuff and finishing college, etc, etc. So now that I finished college I can actually get into these videos properly, and I am gonna religiously film videos each week, so that is something that I'm really excited about, and I can actually get something up each week for you all and can start being consistent with my videos. So I am really excited now that I finished college to be able to start that with all of you. So I really hope that you can like, subscribe and comment on my videos, because that would be amazing. So without further ado, let's get on with all of the books that I read in the month of May. So the first book that I read this month is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. I absolutely love this book. It was quite a big chunk for me. 500 pages for me is quite a big book. It might not be for other people, it might just be normal, but 500 pages, I think it's just short of 500 pages. For me it was quite a big book to read, but I was actually pleasantly surprised with myself. I think I got through this in like 4 or 5 days it took me. So for anyone who hasn't heard about this book, it follows the character of Andy, and her mother died about 5 years prior to the book, and her dad is also a congressman, so he's not really around a lot, so she has a lot of free time. She's very independent, and she spends a lot of time with her friends. And when her summer plans to go to a pre-med, I think it is a pre-med like camp thing over the summer, that gets cancelled, so she has to try and make other plans. And it's basically about her summer and how what she does for her job, and just goes through the summer and all of her experiences. She meets a new boy called Clark, and something happens there. Not going to give too many spoilers, but there's a little something that happens there, so that's quite exciting. When I was reading this, I was trying to think of the main lesson that Morgan Matson was trying to portray in this book, and I think a lot of it is because Andy starts the summer off with having this perfect plan of what she wants to do over the summer, and then when everything gets cancelled and it all goes down the toilet, she then has to try and have a summer, try and have a good summer basically, without letting that spoil it. And I think that the main lesson is that yes, it's great having a plan. You can plan of what you want to do, but also the character of Andy, she really changes by the end of it. So by the end of it, she doesn't need to have that plan anymore. She can just go with the flow, and she can still have fun doing it like that. So like I've said, I do think that that is the most important lesson, that having a plan isn't always the best thing all the time, and you should just feel free and just go with the flow sometimes. So I do definitely think that that is the message of this book. Like I've said, I did thoroughly enjoy this book. It was great to read. I love Morgan Matson's writing, and as soon as I finished it, I went and bought 2 of her other books and pre-ordered the next one that's coming out. So I do really enjoy her writing. It was a really nice, easy read. It comes naturally. It's not really that hard. So yeah, I did love this book, and I think I gave this like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Maybe pushing it to be a 5, but like I said, it was amazing. The next book that I picked up is The Last Place on Earth by Carol Snow. So when I picked this up, I'd never heard of it before. I'm not gonna lie to you, I picked it up because when I saw it in the store and I saw the spine of it, it was gorgeous and it really attracted my attention, and then made me read the blurb, and I got really interested in it. I did enjoy this book. It was quite a light read, only took me a few days to get through. I did enjoy it, but I was expecting more. It was a bit of a random plot line, I think it was. So basically, if none of you know, it follows the character of Daisy and her best friend Henry. He basically vanishes, and he hasn't told her where he's going or what he's doing or anything like that. He's done this a couple of times before. His family will just go away on spontaneous holidays, and he then appears back the next week with loads of stories to tell her. But then I think it's like a few weeks go by, she hasn't heard from him, and also she can't get hold of him on the phone, so it's all a little bit weird. She doesn't really know what's going on. And it turns out that he's gone away because his family think that it's like the end of the world or something like that. It's like it happens from like an animal, and they think that this disease is going to happen, so they go to this massive house that they've been building in like the treetops or whatever with a few other families. It's all a bit it's all a bit crazy. I thought at the start, because she kept talking about how she thinks that he's been abducted by aliens. So because of the title and everything like that, I did think that it was going to be a zombie apocalypse type feel of the book. And I thought that that's what was coming, and then it kind of just went downhill. At first, I ate, like, the first half of this book, I ate it up. It starts off straight away with Henry's missing, and that from the start is very, very captivating. You want to read on more, and I do think that this book is well written in the fact of, at the end of each chapter, something happens and it then finishes that chapter off, and you then have to then carry on reading the next chapter to then want to then find out what's going on. So I do think that it is well written in that respect, because it did keep me in, it kept me going, and I was really enjoying it at first, and then the plot line just kind of went down the toilet, and I didn't really enjoy it that much after that. I did keep on reading. It was all a little bit rushed, I think. She could have taken more time to convey this story. So yeah, like I've said, I really enjoyed the first half of the book, but the second half of the book kind of let it down. I wanted more. I wanted a different story. I wanted, like, zombies or something like that, that he'd been abducted and then it takes his whole thing to, like, get him back. And also on the blurb it says about how obviously Henry's disappeared and she needs to find him, and she's discovering all these secrets, but she finds him about, like, I think it's like halfway through the book or something like that. So you already know that Henry's fine. So I feel like that the main part of the story could have been you going through the whole book wondering if Henry's alive, like what's going on, but you get about halfway through and you know that he's fine and you know that his family's fine. So I kind of think that the whole book was a little bit, I don't really know. Yeah, I did enjoy it. Like I said, I carried on reading. It's not that long of a book, so it didn't take me long. I think that the second, like I've said, the second part just let it down a little bit, but I think I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars because, like I said, it is well written. The first half of the book really did draw me in. It was just that the plot let it down a little bit. So I would have liked a few more exciting twists and turns. And the last book that I read this month is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. At the moment, I've been quite interested in, like, the detective stories, like the Sherlock Holmes. I've been watching the series. I've been watching the series, and I've watched it over and over, and I need to get my hands on the books, but you know, cost at the moment, I can't really afford it. But hopefully I'll be picking those up soon. But yeah, like I said, the detective stories are really, really interesting for me. So to find a YA story that is based around that subject matter is really interesting for me. So for those of you that don't know, the Book of Truly Devious is based between 2 timelines. So it starts off at the Ellingham Academy in like 1936, I think it is, and this really rich guy who owns the school called Albert Ellingham, his wife and his daughter actually go missing and they get kidnapped, and then he's then having to then be bribed, and he's having to give them the kidnappers loads of money for them to both be returned. And then it then switches between 1936 and then present time, where Stevie Bell is actually going to this academy. So basically this school is a free school for talented people, and they basically have to, like, I think it's like write a letter in, and they just get like selected by that. It's kind of like an audition process in a way, and they then get selected to come to this school for whatever that they're interested in. So a few of her friends are interested in art or writing, but Stevie's thing is that she wants to be a detective, and she's watched loads of Sherlock Holmes, read all of the books, Agatha Christie, the lot. So it is something that she's really interested in. And basically the abduction of Albert's wife and daughter was never solved. A guy was found guilty for it, but Stevie doesn't believe that he's actually the person who did it. So she's basically at this school to find out what happened and solve the case, basically, and that is what she is interested in. So for those of you wondering, I haven't actually explained why Truly Devious, the title comes into it. The letter that Albert Ellingham received when his wife and daughter were kidnapped was from this person who addressed himself as Truly Devious. So that is the whole idea of the book. I really love this book. I started it off I think like last week, and in like 4 or 5 days I'd only read like 88 pages, and I was actually thinking of stopping reading it and moving on to something else. I was like, oh, I'll give it one last try, I'll spend the day reading it and see how I get through it. And within like the next like 24 hours. I think I'd read about 300 pages of it. I was just eating it up. I was absolutely loving it. So I was so happy that I didn't stop reading it and I carried on. Like I've said, I love this book, and for anyone who loves a detective story but also a YA book, then I think that you should definitely pick this up. I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. So that's the end of this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope that my reviews of the books that I read in May will inspire you to go and pick them up, or not inspire you to pick them up. If you're thinking about it and you don't like the sound of it, then that's absolutely fine as well. But I really hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one, which will be my June TBR. Jeez, we're in June already. I go on holiday this month, yay! So that's really, really exciting. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.